Okay, so it's 5 in the morning. I feel kind of, sometimes when I'm starting, I feel like it's super hectic. And it's like, well, I'm just gonna start even though it feels hectic, but I don't know, it just makes like my brain feels overloaded or something. Um, but I had my third cup of tea. Last night though, I broke up the thing. I'm not waking up at 11:30, thank God. I think Stella woke up like at 2:30 or something. And then she wants some medicine. So I got up, gave her some medicine, went to the bathroom, and went back to sleep, I think, until like 3:30. But sleeping that long straight made me feel so much rested. And I was like, okay, cool, I can get up. And so I've been up doing stuff. And let me think. This is my third cup, but it's only half. Um, and it's weird too because it's matcha doesn't have a bunch of caffeine. It has some kind of other caffeine that's different. So it's not like I'm all jacked up on fucking caffeine or something. Um, and you know, another thing that there's a bunch of little things. So one of the things is that I keep finding myself doing these weird, I don't know, it's like sounds. Like when I very first started, it was like, you know, a couple of weird sounds or something. Then I started doing more. And I feel like I'm talking a different language. And it seems like it's based on like sounds, but the sounds, you feel an emotion. And so it seems like wherever it was that I used this language was based like sound. It kind of reminds me like of how dogs talk. And but it's some, and I don't know, maybe I was an animal at the time. Maybe there's different times when we're in different places where we're animals, and then I have no idea. It's weird, but anyway, so some of these weird things are happening to you. I think it's just like natural. Like it's like remembering these things because I'll start making these noises and I'll feel so much like I'm literally talking in a language that I have experienced before. And so I feel like I'm talking to someone, like, you know, like how we have like a group around us, like, and you can't just go, oh, well, you got one ancestor, you've got one grandparent. It's not like that. You've got, you know, all sorts of. I don't think you have like your galactic family with you, but I think they keep an eye on you. But it's not like, you know, it's a big thing. It's more of the people, to me, a lot of, okay, because you have your higher mind around you, and who I would think of as your guides. And I don't even know how everybody gets their guidance. You know, I'm not sure how that even works. I'm kind of weirded out right now. Like I keep getting hit with this wave of control. And some things, like I'll see them and I'll think of them as being free, but then I'll see all of a sudden this side that is like control. It's like, fuck, man. No matter what, everything is controlled. It's but it's like free, but I don't know. It's like you got to be led by your own good that's inside of you. But you got to get to that point of being able to make those choices, you know, to follow the light. And the dark has all the draw and the excitement. The because in the light, yeah, you have to face yourself and you have to heal. You have to do stuff that some people find uncomfortable. So they would rather stay in the dark. But anyways, um the and it's weird too because I had seen some of these people. I don't watch all these videos. I'll just see them as I go by. But there's a lot of people who talk about like light language and stuff. And I've heard them talk and I've heard them, you know, start talking in these weird kind of things. There's like different languages. I heard this one and she was talking about like there's different languages. Some are like this chirping, some is like all these different things. And that's where it was making me feel again like this our communication, like we use words and stuff here, but I don't know, it trips me out because we're animals. And it's like we've been taught to, just like how we treat, how we teach circus animals or something. I feel like that's kind of like, like we're trained like circus animals or something. Man, there's so much stuff coming to the surface of just how these organizations have treated wildlife and animals. And I mean, it's just so right in front of our faces now. And if you keep trying to look away, it's just going to it just gets worse and worse and worse until it finally gets you to look at it and say, this is wrong or this is right. This is what we got to do. And that's based on people's perspective. Like there's people who don't think they're doing anything wrong. It's like, well, I would say get a little bit more, lean a little more into your spiritual side and into that, because yeah, there is, like there's, I don't like to just say God's plan, because there's way too many people who think like there's a singular God up there making decisions for us. And it's not like that. If I say God's plan, it's more like is like an inevitable plan that you and your guides had created, that created this destined life event. And so it's not like, there's one superior being up there who is over the rest of us and we're all the nothing, and it has to tell us, what to do when it's disappointed in us and all that stuff. It's not like that. Like how people, so I don't like to just say like God. You know what I thought was kind of weird? Because Russell Brand, I don't know, it's like this time period too. So many people, it's like, well, you better get on Jesus' side or something at the last minute or something. It's like, I've been saying, what I've been saying for decades. I'm not going to all of a sudden shift gears and go like, oh, I think I'm all of a sudden a Christian and I'm on Jesus. And it's like, no, that's not going to happen. Hold on, let me get a drink. But he's out there, he has a platform and he gets to be out there. And I don't know, like he's a whole spectrum, that Russell Brand. Because like when he came on the scene, a lot of us, I think he was the one who was putting it out there that he was just kind of a hoe bag. He liked to do a lot of drugs. He liked to sleep with every single person who passed him by. And he was very caught up in that lifestyle of just, people throwing themselves at him just doing it with them and doing drugs and, partying and stuff. But he had tattoos that expressed he had some kind of spiritual connection, because then people would ask him and say stuff like, because I heard him talk about like, because he had tattoos that didn't match, like it was different, like have a Hindu thing, a Christian thing, like all these different things. And to me, I get it as a spiritual person. It's like it's all encompassing. It's all these things. And you are taking claim like, oh, it's everything. It's all of it. And it's just that the people get hyper focused on this and then divide from the rest when we have to pull it all in together. And so I didn't feel judgmental on him about that, I was like, to each his own. And but then when I would hear him talk, he would seem like he was more spiritual, like, I don't know, kind of like a lot of people who go to AA. There's a lot of people who don't have any spiritual connection when they go to AA. There's like, what is that called? My dad used to always call himself agnostic, atheist. My dad would always say he was agnostic, because I would say, what are you? Because my mom would tell us we were Lutheran, which now all these Catholic churches are selling their churches low-key for cheap money to all these organizations that are turning them into mosques. It's like, I don't really I mean, and these are really old churches, like the ones where, people would go to these towns to tour. Like, these are really beautiful old churches. It's like, it just gets weirder and weirder. Is this part of, your reset? You want them to go in and destroy these, or you want them to go and then it shifts and it's like, oh no, it was all these people that built them. It's like, fucking, who knows? It's probably fucking fairies built them. Who fucking knows? I swear to God, this place is so full of lies. It just is mind-boggling. It's like, how do you even connect to anything unless it's inside of you? Like, that's the only place. But let me think what I was just saying, because I didn't finish. Oh yeah, Russell Brand. Hold on. But he says a lot of good stuff, I think. A lot of like wise things and stuff. Because spirituality is based more on a wisdom, it's like asking yourself deeper questions, not just getting caught up in the surface, going deeper, dive deeper into, there's a reason I'm here. They want to tell us that we're some accident just flying through space, but no, there's a reason. You can feel it inside your bones. And that is where I was talking about how I think there's so many people who are disconnected. Like, they've got this angry side of themselves because this other side of themselves is so strong, and they're being told that that's not real. And, oh God, the story I got to tell of the system thing. Oh, fuck, I'm fucking motherfucking outraged. I'm fucking steaming over this story. But this, so Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson has them on, because now I think there's going to be more and more of this union between opposing sides, where we look at it as like, oh, they say this and they say this and they don't like each other. I think we're going to see this coming together of this unity between different sides. They're going to keep coming together in peace and bringing in information so that the people listen. Because, see, then you've drawn in Russell Brand's he was so much of a liberal leader. And then when they started in the media, started saying he had gone red, that he probably lost a lot of people who followed him. But he still has people, because it's inside of us. So there would still be people who'd be like, oh man, but I'm still drawn. I'm still drawn. I've still got to, because you got to follow what your soul feels, because there's more information for you. So there's still people, holding on to different things, even when other people are falling away. So you have like this big pull in of these two groups, seeing these two come together in peace, talking about the bullshit. And, because the bullshit is like, we do have to come together. We do all have to say, hey, this is bullshit, and this isn't okay. And we all agree. And so that, as part of the awakening, that is how it's going to keep working like that. Is it's like I see it like the universe sewing this side, mending these sides, pulling them together. And it will, I don't know, to some people it will appear natural, because this seems like so many people are just, there's just all levels of understanding and conscious states, that's just all there is to it. And so there's, a lot of people where this is going to just very naturally be occurring. But then there's other people who see it, as staged, where it's kind of like it's both. And it's like the universe, like there's no changing what is inevitable. There's no changing destiny. And these things play out to get us to where we're going. We're just in the part where they play out. So it's very weird, especially when you know what's to come. Then you're watching it from a certain perspective. It's like you're over here, you know what's going to go down. The party's going to be here. And you're watching the party come to you. And you're watching how it plays out. Everybody's trip to get there. So that is the point of observation when you reach the point of peace in your own skin, in your own self, so that you don't feel panicked or fearful, where you're trying to continue to figure it out, where you need to be able to ask all the questions. The questions are important. So don't ever feel like you're asking dumb questions. You need to continue to ask questions, but the person who's there to answer the questions is you. Man, that makes me feel emotional. That's why people need to learn how to trust themselves and connect with themselves, because they're the missing link. That's so the so don't ever feel like whatever stage you're at the wrong stage, that you need to catch up with somebody else. You're at the stage that you're supposed to be at. You need to get more in tune with your stage where you are. Get into the energy of the space that you are in your advancement, and that will give you the education and the steps to go towards where it is that you are headed. So then, it's just to keep doing the work, just keep working on yourself, keep focusing on, how you feel and questioning yourself. Like, why do I feel this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it this way? Why am I over here? Where do I think I need to be? Just like the questions, just question yourself. And then open your minds up and your heart to the communication that returns. And there is some, there's definitely some hostile communication out there. Like, and when just a crazy fucking word just pops in your mind, it's like, I don't know. It's like they're throwing daggers. It's just, and when you get that stuff, just see it as like an interruption. Like the archons don't, you're going in a good way. So they want to just, throw things at you to get you off track, to disrupt your pace. And so you have to pull in more on your focus and don't get caught up, because it's, it's constant, especially like right now, man. It's constantly, I swear to God, social media seems insane to me. Like, it's so crazy. Last night, what was all, and it's still going today, was a sniper over, I don't know, Georgia, Kentucky, like somewhere. It was hidden in the forest, and it was taking people out or something. And so there's this huge manhunt, and they had found a truck that had stuff in it that they thought this must be the suspect. And then there was news reports saying there was 4 people who were doing it. So I don't know. There's just going to be more and more of this. There's so many people at this point that are begging people, leave the cities. That one guy, he is out there trying to get people to leave California. But this is where people have to see themselves. Like, yeah, you want to speak your truth. You want to say what's real, but you can't, it's like you can't overburden yourself. And that doesn't mean just don't go do stuff that you are led to do, but you got to really fine tune your register of when you are frustrating yourself and doing too much, because that's when you need to see and learn how to trust the universe. So it's good to speak up and say, no, but this guy, the one guy, has left his family and has gone to California. He's in the streets going, and, he's got video. Someone's videotaping him. I don't remember what his name is. Something like Dan the Prophet or something like that. And he's the one who's been saying that there's about to be a big earthquake and the California's going underwater. And there's so many news reports. It's like, to me, this is all preparation. This is all to get the people who are in these areas to wake up and to start thinking different. And the one place, I still can't, every time I start to say it, then a whole bunch of different places pop in my mind. All these little towns along the ocean. But one of those is sliding into the water. It's like, I don't know. It's real crazy. It's like it's moving a huge amount every day now. It's sliding. They've had to turn off gas and power. Like, it's This place is just sliding into the water. And this is like an expensive place. All these, like Palos Verdes or something like that. All these places along the shoreline are expensive. Fuck. They are so expensive. So these are like $1 million houses that are sliding into the ocean. And so and houses that have been there for a long time, but this is the change. This is, you can't stop it. The earth doesn't give a shit about that fucking house. And and how much do we give a shit about the earth? That's one thing that's just like, this is, until you get into harmony with the earth, you're in battle with it, because the people in charge are in battle with it. So so that is a part of, the coming into yourself and becoming a part of your environment and stuff, and coming into harmony with your environment. Whoa, Stella. Lady Jane. So, oh gosh, my legs are going to sleep. Sitting like this is so uncomfortable. So okay, let me think. Because when I'm going to go off on this one thing, so I'm trying to see if I had, because there's so many things. Like there's so many, like the guy whose dog was put down, and it was like, that's blowing up. And you just know that's going to lead to more people with this same story that have not been able to, he just had a pretty big social media following in an outrageous story. So now you have so many people who are passing his story on and stuff. And it even seems like that they are trying to do more of this propaganda to get us to really, appreciate the shelters and the people who work so hard to keep them running. It's like, the stories I have heard are horrible. Like, to me, it's like, I feel like that there's people who have disconnected from the animals. Like, they're not there because they care and appreciate them. I think that there's some, but they end up getting so beat down and so hurt by the situation that burns them out. And then other people just turn dark. And then they start becoming a part of the torture. And that is in that fucking study. That one, Stanford always does all these fucking studies. Yale, Stanford, whatever. This is a Stanford one. And it's the prison one. And they've got movies about it. It's a whole well-known study. And you create the hierarchy, and the people will naturally take over a role. And so it's, where people who aren't abusers normally, and then you put them in the role of the guard, and that you get them in their minds to think these people are below them or a danger or whatever, then you will treat them in a way that is inhumane. And so this is going on at the shelters. There's people who are freaking doing wicked shit to these animals. This is just, oh God, there's so much wicked shit being done to fucking kids. And like, this is just right here, right in our fucking face, as we have failed as a society. This is why we come together as a collective, because enough of us realize that the failure falls on us, and that not judging other people. Yeah, there's a lot of broken people out there, but it's like you have to have empathy and compassion. This is the thing that opens you up to perspective. And and I don't know, like, to me, a lot of it is based on past lives and the things that you have learned, so it is internally marked inside of you. And so you have certain understandings of a lot of different things. And then, it is like a whole progression of understandings in order for, how living works. This reincarnation, this game, whatever, however you want to look at it. And so there is, you learn things when you do it. And so then when things happen, you have a certain perspective. And so I can see a lot of things happen, and then I can see it from other people's perspective. And then I'll see the people who are being so hostile towards it and judgmental is, that's something on them. And it's probably, they're putting it out there because they're going to learn when the lights come on. So they're probably this hostility and this judgmental attitude of theirs that they're spewing out is so it's out in the ethers, and when the lights come on they see this side of themselves because they probably don't have an awareness, because they're driven by their own impulses based on whatever traumas that they've experienced that they haven't dealt with. And so that is what puts you on autopilot. That's what gets you labeled as an NPC or something. So the but when you hear these different stories, see, like, I can hear horrific stories where people will be like, think somebody's a monster, think somebody's a devil, think whatever. And I can, man, I am really getting hot. I'll feel like it's, I just have this nightgown thing on. That's why I put this sweater on. Because sometimes I have a tank top on, but last night I just wore this nightgown thing. And so it's got these little straps. But fuck, I'm sweating. Oh man, it's hot in here. It's just stuffy. Like if I open the door, it's cold outside. Like they're still, like the weather here is whacked, man. And yesterday I kept feeling like, man, it's gonna rain. And it was so overcast, and I don't know now if they're trying to tell us this is smoke that's causing the overcast. I don't know, fucking know. It's just so fucking ridiculous. And then the colors, like yesterday was this crazy orange in the sky when the sun was setting, and I was seeing this red reflection on the trees and stuff. It's like motherfucking poison. Like nobody's gonna fucking tell me the weird. Like it's fucking wacky, man. And then the fog in the morning, just sitting down here, just waiting for us all to breathe it in. I was like, God, I'm so sick of it. But let me think. So let me think what I was talking about is the people. The people. What do the people do? The people are doing a lot of different things. And everything is to find your own peace. It's you having to find, oh yeah, because the different things going on. Yeah. Now people are so judgmental, but that is what you're here working on. So that is where you have to catch yourself when you're being judgmental and try and look at it from other perspectives. Like, well, if I was really poor, if I was really beat down, if I was really, I could probably do the same thing. That could easily happen to me. And that is where you got to kind of get off of this hierarchy, this, pedestal that you are on, and ask yourself why you're on it too. Like, how did I get up here? How did I start thinking I was better than everybody? And start realizing like, fuck, I could do that. Like if shit went down a certain way and I was struggling, like I have always, ever since I was a kid, no matter what the situation, except for mass murderer, like I don't feel like that, but I don't want to have to be judgmental and go learn like, oh yeah, well, yeah, you can go so crazy that can happen too. But the things that, where I see people, that was weird. It looked like there's just something. I have been seeing so much stuff. It's crazy. Like things just running. It's wild. Like there's so much energy around us right now. And it's like, I know why we can't see it all. Like, where we feel like it's a punishment or something to have this veil. But it's like, it would be so distracting. Like you wouldn't be able to fucking deal with anything. There's just shit going on all the time. So in order to finish, the completion of that cycle, we had to be hyper focused. Now it's like more stuff and more stuff is going to just keep coming and coming. More is just going to keep opening and opening. And, but I just think it's important when you hear things, rather than just go and think, oh, like, what an asshole, what a stupid piece of shit and all that, to really think about like, what does it take to get there? The pain that this person has gone through, the confusion, the disconnect. And so I just think, that's where we can, because just watch when the lights come on, how many people suddenly get motivated to heal. It will be a huge wave of it, but it's going to be how hard it is. It's what's going to be hard for people, because facing yourself is the hardest thing you can do. And so that is where, that's why we got to just learn how to be super supportive of one another. And because it's going to be hard, just as hard as it's been on all of us to watch all these people be asleep, it's going to be very hard to watch all these people struggle when they wake up, because it's going to be such a state of uh, confusion. But like, confusion lifts, but when the confusion lifts, it's such a crystal clear view of yourself that it's going to be very hard on people, just because people just have no idea who they are and have no idea how they come across. There's so many things that people just don't have any idea about, because they're so focused on these other things. There's such a huge part of the awakening. Somebody had just done this video and said something about, are you awake to spirituality, or are you awake to the conspiracy theories going on? And but see, it's all of it, and all of the breakdown of our society, and the conspiracies, is that is the falling apart of our reality. And you have to, like, look at our reality, look at how we failed as humans, look at how, where mankind went wrong, look at the roles you've played, and heal. And then, as we all do that, it makes change. It creates a change. A wave of change occurs when we all are willing to look at something and see it in a different way. It's like, that is the creation of something new. And that is why they fucking use us in their macabre way of creating a hostile reality. And it's all through this programming and getting us to create it. It's so crazy right now how all this Civil War stuff, and how it's like, and then you see like these people, these videos and stuff, and it's like they're all willing to go. And I was like, I don't know, is some of this like propaganda? Because then some of us see this and it's like, oh my God, I don't want that. That isn't what we want. We don't want to be out here taking on the immigrants and stuff. It's like, no, we got to come together as humans. And so, oh, there's so much craziness, but all the craziness is for everybody to witness themselves, to see themselves. And so many people are caught up in the dramas that they don't really realize that, it's coming. Like, you're going to get a view of your own hostility, your own anger, your own bitterness, your own judgmental side. And that's going to be crystal clear, I think, to a lot of Christians. Like, that's going to be a hard part for them to face, because they're so, in the hierarchy of thinking, they're so much better than other people. They're closer to God and stuff. It's like, well, there's going to be a lot of stuff that people have to face, and it's going to be difficult. So, let me think. Did I finish saying what I was going to say about that? Oh, because I didn't ever finish with the Russell Brand thing. Because, so Tucker had Russell Brand on. And I've only seen a little clip, but there was this part. I think they probably had a good conversation, because Tucker's, he's obviously a part of Disclosure. And so at the end of it or something, he tells Russell, if you would do a prayer to end things or something. And Russell gets all excited and jumps up, and he starts praying to Jesus. It's like, well, I think a true spiritual person would not go in and start praying to Jesus, but I don't know, like, I'm not trying to be judgmental of him. Like, I don't know what his passion is. I don't know what is leading him. And, I don't know. It's just strange. It's just strange when you see somebody who says that they're so spiritual, and then they go in and start praying to Jesus. It's like, I don't know. If I was at a place, I was thinking about this, because I was thinking, Well, what would I do if somebody said, "Hey, Kelly, could you lead us in some prayer? Because we're going to close things up here." And my prayer would be much more about us all coming together and seeing clearly and learning how to love one another and kind of like that. And I feel like I would first off have every single person take the person next to him's hand. I would create a chain. And then I would definitely get everybody to hum and feel the vibration of one another. And everybody to send out the impulse of love and connection. And then everybody to feel what that feels like. And then my prayer would be, that we all learn how to love and respect one another and learn the power of us. Not, Jesus, come save us. Jesus, come on. I don't understand that. And so when I saw that, I was like, is it like, I don't know. There's just some things that are so strange to me. So I don't know, if I met him and we were talking and, he could have a very valid reason why he's going in and doing this, getting, on the main stage and then praying to Jesus. It's like, at this point, I've seen enough stuff that I think Jesus was made up. Like he's a fucking made up character. And I don't know. I mean, whoever these guys were, these prophets and these mystics of the past, that they were taken and their information was bastardized and manipulated in order to control us. And I don't know, it just seems to be a part of the accepting the control to pray to him, Jesus, please come and save us, Jesus, Jesus. It's just like, man, then I know, there's a whole group of people that don't even understand anything other than Jesus and God and angels and devils, that they can't see past that definition of reality. So, he could be very well just trying to talk on people's language and get them in a certain vibration. I don't know, but I feel like some of us, a platform is also to get people to see beyond what they're visually being able to accept and understand about their reality. And so it's like pushing past the barriers that were there and be able to open your mind to, like I said, the God that you are talking to, who's in control, is like your higher self and I wouldn't even say like your guides are in control, but from what I understand, your guides are what helps. It's like you figure out like your life plan, like when you're learning lessons, how things fit together. Like it's this higher mind. You are a higher mind. And then you have a higher mind. I don't know. It just seems like roles of more advanced knowledge, because like the watchers, it's not like they're lazy or something. It's like they don't have to come and do all this stuff. They can learn. Like just think about how many people can be here and not learn from other people's mistakes, that they would rather sit in judgment than to learn. And so that is a higher mind that can learn in observation. So the ones that and the watchers to me aren't the ones that trap us in the forest and stuff. The watchers are the ones that, the faces in the sky, the ones where, you're washing the dishes and you feel like somebody's watching you because they're always watching you. Anytime that you ever feel like you're doing something and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel like I'm being watched. It's like you're always being watched. And then even on top of that, now we have this weird world where they're trying to, everything's CCTV. They're watching us. It's Big Brother world. It's very creepy. Like, really, this world is so fucking creepy. I can't even believe people don't see this as hell. Like, this place, and it's so, we have been living this dystopian lifestyle for so long. We're going into such a more healthy lifestyle, such a more more positive, better way of living and taking care of ourselves and becoming our best selves. And because the world is full of people's worst selves. The world is full of people beat down and confused. And what am I doing here? What is this place? And why is it so horrible? So, and this is, I'm going to lead to this story, because this motherfucking is just chapped my ass, man. So you remember the guy who I talked about who works at the mental place, and he was told about the lady who the FBI came and took her when she was in her intake. She was saying that they were after her, and the guy told this whole story, and he was like, it was so weird how it all. And she kept saying it, and then they come and take her, and wiped all her information. Like she was just like took everything. And he thought that was weird. And so his story today, this one just really pissed me off. And, I got people in my family. Well, my one son-in-law has died, the one who was going to these courts and stuff, because he had been already documented as schizophrenic, which I tried talking to him. And even when my youngest granddaughter, when she started showing signs of, she was talking to dead people all the time. And everybody started being like, oh my God, she's going to be schizophrenic like her dad and stuff. And I was like, no, she's talking to dead people. And she's gifted. But my daughter was still very concerned and took her to a counselor. And then the counselor said, no, she's not mentally ill. She's gifted. And, but when you don't have control of your gifts can turn into a fucking nightmare. And I think she's kind of in that space right now, because when you have a very open channel and you can hear, and like I've said, the dark energy is very fucking manipulative. It's very negative and it's very manipulative. And you have to really get in tune with being able to communicate back and pick up on its vibration and its negative bullshit. And it will just work on beating you down. And especially, like I've said, so many kids have so much dark energy around them, because they go through so much. I don't know, just think of all the things of like when you're a kid and when you're just like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Oh my God, everything. You can see through things, and it's just like everybody's accepting this. And so dark energy is pulled to you because you have got all this frustration and anger and resentment and all this stuff. So, and then it will build on that. And so when people start doing things, and it's like that dark energy, man, it will fucking tear you down. But I would try and tell him, but he was so indoctrinated into the thing and had been on medication for so long and stuff. And when people keep being told, like, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, and then somebody comes in and says, oh, it's real, it's real. And, now we're, thank God, in this shift, for those of us who were able to get through the system and not become a part of their, what is that? Debris, a part of, what they're trying to do with it, tearing people down. And it's like, it is like a debris. So, I did try, even when I was a psych nurse, I would be talking to my clients, and I would try and talk in a way of like, yeah, that's real. That's real. And, but they can't, I don't know. They start looking at you like something's wrong with you, because all the other people are telling them it's not real. But it is real. There is all these different realms. There's other beings always communicating with you. It's very real. And I don't know what realm you got yourself in. That's, that's where you got to learn how to maneuver out, like lucid dreaming. You got to learn how to communicate with these beings and try and figure out, like, why are you there? What are you trapped? How do you have all these beings around you that are fuckery? So that's all for people to, figure out. This is a spiritual journey. And so in psych court, though, it's a whole different thing. So people can go and do like crazy fucking crimes, and then they go to psych court. And when my son-in-law used to go, because when The one time that I remember he was having a psychotic break and something, because something can set him off, these people. Something will happen and it will stress them out, and then everything starts going wrong. And they start hearing the voices and stuff, because of course that's when the voices are going to come in when you're stressed, and they're going to fucking try and beat you down. And that, so they'll come in and they're very toxic and attacking, which I had that happen that one time when I said that I was super sick and I had had scarlet fever and I had a really high temperature, and they said, I was hallucinating, but that being, whoever it was, there was something in my room. And then I was trying to get away from it. It was very mean. And I was trying to get away from it. And I jumped out my window and I started running, and it was chasing me. And I could hear it so loud. And it kept saying it was going to get me. It was going to get me. Well, it can't really. What's it going to do when it gets you? But it's like this feeling, this energy, that makes us feel like you're scared. But what's it gonna do? Like sweep through you, throw something at you? Like, you know, it's not. It's we have a protective barrier. This thing that they call us flesh and blood. It gives us this safety thing. So the spirits can play games. They can taunt you, but it's not like that they can really do anything. They can make you, they can, knives be straight up. Like, they can cause you grief if you're not fucking paying attention and you're not telling them to get the fuck out of here. And so, they can do stuff, but it's not like where you need to fear like these things are going to come in and, I don't know. People are way overboard scared of these things, and it doesn't make any sense. So, and if you understood your own power behind your own spirit and stuff, then you wouldn't, be scared. And so, anyways, that's all learning stuff. So, I'm gonna get to this guy's story. So, this guy's story today. So, there's this court system that's psych. Oh yeah, because when my son-in-law had this psychotic break, he took off walking and he started going in people's houses. He was just going in people's houses. And my daughter at the time, she had never experienced anything what he was going through. And so when he started saying a bunch of weird stuff and stuff, she left, which that only made him worse. And then he started going and looking for her, and he was going and just walking and going in people's houses, and he was taking their dog with them. And then he's just rambling and talking crazy. I was so upset. I was like, this is how somebody gets shot. Like, this is horrible. You cannot you can't leave somebody in a psychotic break. I got so mad at my daughter because I was a psych nurse at the time, especially. And so I was very upset. But she had to learn too. And it's a lot to be with somebody who has like severe handicaps. And I think one thing is when something is a lot is because in our heart, we know like that everybody can do better, but everybody is like stuck. And then, and it's weird because in our hearts, we can judge other people, but we don't know how to move ourselves through it. So they don't know how to move themselves through it. And that is where we got to see. And that's why the universe is coming in with this big action, this big sweep. Like, oh, you don't know how to get rid of things? We're going to take them. We're going to take them straight ass away from you. You'll get over it. You'll do fine. And so this process that we're all going through is a lot more because, we couldn't do these things. So the universe is doing it. So anyways, that when he got in, was breaking and entering and all that stuff and whatever it was, trespassing, I don't remember, when somebody called the police, thank God, and stuff, she didn't have. And then, so he went to this certain court. But this court, I always saw it as more lenient. And so I was like, luckily we have this court system for these people. And I just got a new perspective of this because this was fucking, I'm so disgusted. So the same guy who had told the story, he tells these stories about stuff that's going on in the asylums. And he's worked at a bunch. So he's not a nurse. He is, one of the white coat guys. He's one of the guys that you know, an aide or whatever. He's the people who are right there with them. You know, sits and talks to the people, helps them. You know, like if you see in the movies and they've got a room full of people who are sitting there, you know, playing with puzzles and drawing and hitting their head on the window, you know, this whole social room thing. And you'll see the guys in the white pants and white shirts sitting around talking to them or trying to hand them their drink to get their pill or whatever. They don't give the pills. They can hand them the water or whatever. But they're kind of like babysitters. But it's kind of a dangerous job. Like there's people who fucking get... I mean, there's the one that I knew of in Spokane. There was like... I swear to God, there was one person who became paralyzed because these people can all of a sudden attack. And the one in Spokane, it has a whole part for the criminally insane. So it has people who have done some really crazy shit. Like, you know, kill 10 people and eat them all. That kind of people. And so there's some of those people there. So it's not like, oh, that's a simple job. That's an easy job. No. And it's not like a prison guard where you get to walk around with weapons. No, their weapon is each other. They have a whole thing that they're taught about how to take somebody down, and then somebody to come up and, you know, the needle is what they use and just knock people out. And then go, and then the people who do the thing find themselves, when they wake up, they're tied down to their bed. Like, how is this human? Like, there's so many things, practices that we've allowed that is just like, fuck, man. I can't even believe how much that the putting all these dogs to sleep is just fucking killing me. And it's just so disgusting. Like, how did our society become so fucked? And it's years and years and years of disconnect, just in survival mode. You know, not giving a shit about what anybody else's plight is. It's like, fuck them. I got enough problems of my own. It's like, so then bad people can do bad shit, man. So, and they can trick good people into thinking they're doing good things when they're doing bad things. So anyways, so this guy said in this story, this older lady comes in and, I don't know how old she was. He said she was older and she was like in the beginning stages of like dementia. He said it was like, you know, every once in a while she would show some kind of sign of dementia. And she was only there for a few days. She checked herself in for a few days because she had some situations going on that were really stressing her out, and she just needed to get free from it. She needed to go like talk with other people and go talk it through and stuff. So she just wanted to go into the mental place. And it could have even been in a hospital. There's a lot of these mental wards in the hospitals. And so it could have been in that, not a full-on mental hospital. And this is the full-on mental hospital. That is where you have people who have really slid out of states of consciousness of having control of themselves. And so she wanted to go in and talk, you know, in groups and stuff about whatever she had going on, probably some family division, because that's the one thing, you know. I just saw this other older lady who was, you know, like, I can understand their attitude of like, I've done all this stuff for you. I've put myself aside for you. I did everything to make you happy when you were a kid. I tried everything. And then for the kid to still be like, you're a failure, you're a failure. But the kid isn't realizing that the parent isn't just hearing you're a failure as a parent. They're hearing you're a failure as a person. They've been beat down their whole lives. And so this is just another beat down. So it's just another state of being a disappointment in life. You know, they've been disappointments to your parents, to their kids, to their job, to their friends. Those things just beat people down. And so, you know, there's just so much sad stuff out there that is so, I don't know, it's necessary to a point because it's going to teach us that it's unnecessary, so we stop being the way we are. So, and, so anyways, this lady is in there, and the fucking doctor comes and tells her he wants her to start taking some medication. And she says, no, I don't need any medicine. I'm fine. There's nothing. I just want, I just wanted to come in and talk about these problems. While I was having these problems, I was just feeling down. And he said, well, no, you're going to take these medications because I just told you to. And she said, no, I'm not taking those. I don't need those. I don't want those. And so then he says, well, you're going to take these and I'm going to get a court order. So he goes and files a court order. And the aide guy was saying that it goes so fast. It's like fucking the medical, the judicial, like it's just this one fucking system of just disgusting. They just got us in all these things. Oh, you broke a law? Oh, we set those laws. We're going after you. Like this bank glitch thing is just getting more and more fucking ridiculous. Now they're saying that these people have taken whatever. I heard $92 million. There's 2 million people involved. Like it's fucking crazy. And you think, how could there be this many people who don't understand that you can't write fake checks? And it's like, fuck, if I was these people, I'd be going to getting lawyers and suing the schools. Like, this needs to take down the schools. Like, if you've got this many people coming out into the system and don't even understand about, that you can't write checks that don't have any money, that's breaking the law, like, you failed. Like, what are these people spending all this time in school all day long when you're coming out and you can't even fucking know basic shit like that? So, and then they're going to arrest him and start putting him in jails, and especially because of all these jails are owned by these rich motherfuckers. And it's really strange how this is so heavy in a certain group of people. It's like it is targeted, man. I'm telling you. There's something so weird going on about this. And I don't know if it is like, well, Chase is trying to create a cover story because they're about to crash. Because there's a lot of weird shit about J.P. Morgan and the Island Boys and all this shit. And he goes all the way back. Like, I fucking relic. He's been, he's been a part of this bullshit for a long time. And who knows, his name could be really something Rockefeller. He could be, what is the original family called? The Cassinis or something like that. So he could go all the way back to that for all we know. And so that's one thing, these people who are playing certain roles in our lives, they've got other roles that they've played. They're not taking this lapse in time and going and facing themselves. They just continue in their evil doings. They're all caught up in the evil of this place. And so the doctor says, well, I'm going to get a court order and you're going to take it. And this woman is like, I'm not taking any medicine. I don't need it. And so the guy who is telling the story, he said he always says, I'll take him to court because he's trying to help. And he said it's disgusting. It's so outrageous, these courts. And so he said that he takes this little old lady. I don't know, I'm picturing like a 70s or 80s, little feeble, tiny little woman. And he said they get there, they put her in handcuffs. They put her in handcuffs for all this stuff. And she's just like, he said everything that they were doing was just draining her of her dignity. And you could see it. And then you get to the court thing, and he said they put them in a cage. They're not even allowed to sit. So how they make the people feel like, you're not even sane enough to just sit here. We got to cage you. We're all just scared of you. And this little old lady. Then they have all this stuff in the records. Well, I've been to court before on my records, and I saw all the lies. Like they just put stuff into your record that are complete fucking lies. And I know this too, because in all of my, gathering of perspective, when I was a nurse and there was a patient on the floor, we were on the neuro floor at this time. I was on the neuro floor at this time. And the neuro floor is, neurological. So we have brain injuries and back stuff. So we had lots and lots of back surgery people and a lot of brain injuries, and all fucking, like, it's so fucking variable on the brain injury thing. And it's so crazy. And that's one thing that anyone who works on the neuro floor is just like, yeah, any of the doctors who work on the brain, It's just like there's no set thing. It can just do whatever. And so this case was something similar to mine. This was a woman who, I don't remember what she had gotten, but they did spinals all the time on our floor. And then we would have to watch and make sure. And there was a whole protocol that you had to do if somebody had a spinal leak, a spinal fluid leak. And because your brain can herniate and it can kill you. And so this woman had a spinal leak. What gets me, and I know you don't die unless you're meant to die and stuff like that, but sometimes it's just so wacky when you go through an incident and it's like, fuck, man, I've seen people die for way less than what I went through. So this lady, I think it was like the second day or something. I don't remember. I wasn't my patient. It was, but I mean, it was on my floor, so I obviously knew the people who were involved. But I don't remember the whole thing. I remember that that somebody said, oh, she has a leak, and whatever they were figuring out that all of a sudden she was having to get moved to ICU. And I think she did herniate. I think that she did die. And, but that is what was happening to mine. Only mine was like so stretched out because it wasn't going to kill me. It was just creating, something. It was creating an experience, a very, very full experience, because it's been so many different things. It's been like, I don't know how to explain it unless you go through something. Nothing is just one thing. It has a whole spectrum, and you have to work your way through the spectrum. And then you find yourself in this position of healing all of these different things. But so this woman was herniating, and I just remember her going down the hall and them taking her to ICU. And then I remember, it seems like it was that day or that week, I don't remember, but I overheard these girls talking. It was one of the nurses, and they were being told that they needed to go down to records, and they needed to, add some stuff in. Some stuff needed to be fixed or altered. So I already knew they were doing this shady shit. I saw it way before it ever happened to me. So I was aware of it. So when I was in court and I was hearing them say things and they're pulling up pages, and then plus I could catch on too, because they had the wrong birth date. Like they had changed my birth date, my birth age. They had the birth date, but the age. So they were putting in the age. They had messed up, but my lawyer wasn't. That wasn't the way she was angling in on it. And so, when I kept saying stuff like that, she'd just be like, that doesn't matter. I was like, well, fucking matters to me. I'm sitting there like the other lawyer, the lawyer who's attacking me is standing here, and there's a podium right next to me. So their table's over here. There's a podium. Each time he stands up to talk to the judge, he's right here, right next to me. And I had a piece of paper I had a tablet, and I would sit and doodle and write things, because you can't just speak out. You can't just say shit, and you want to, like, oh, motherfucking bullshit. God damn, you want to fucking scream. And so I was sitting there writing things. I was writing liar and writing little things like evil. I wanted him to make sure and see. And what's even just more disgusting too is they get these really good-looking lawyers, like these good-looking lawyers who play off their looks, who just go out and do evil. It's like, man, there's so much stuff that people have to see about themselves. So anyways, this guy takes her to court, and then the judge is looking over all this bullshit that they've written, and saying, well, at times she seems to show signs of dementia. And I don't remember the other thing. To me, it was so fucking ridiculous. And then, so the guy who brought her, he starts saying, well, I haven't seen any of that, sometime, he starts saying positive things. And this is why he likes to go, because he tries to get another side out there for the people. He's like an advocate, because he knows how the system works, and it's disgusting. And, he said the woman was so beat down and all she wanted to do was talk for herself, and she was stripped of her dignity and everything, held in this cage in handcuffs, and they're acting like she's, a problem for society or something. And the judge gives her 30 days in on drugs. And then they said, and if you try and fight it, they will hold you down and put it in, so. Yeah, I'm so, oh my God, I can't. This has just been so one after another of these highlighted events of where people have no control. Like there's a whole bunch of these kinds of things going on. They're going on, like there's one in Colorado where the husband had been RAPING and the kids or something. I think maybe it's 2 boys. And, he's been, doing this stuff. And so she left him. Then he got visitation. So she was fighting that. And then the judge decided to give him full custody and put her in jail. Because, how dare her. And this isn't the only one case. There's a whole bunch of these. There's a whole bunch of these fucking cases that are showing the absolute disgusting bullshit that these court systems and they're doing the opposite. I mean, and this little lady, and what gets me too, is that once they get her on those drugs, then her mind, like, fuck. It's so fucking bullshit. Oh, and then I gotta just keep pulling myself back into, okay, this is that soul's journey. This is that soul's journey. They're here learning. But as an observer watching all this stuff, it's just like, oh my God, this is disgusting. This is outrageous. This is like, we've got to make changes. We got to change this bullshit. We can't have these people in charge of us. Like, and I'm so glad now that there's more people who are starting to see that the TRANS movement was to create lifelong patience. It's like, fucking, yeah. They're trying to create lifelong patience and droids. They were trying to create humans that have no connection to anything. There's another thing that is getting brought up that I find interesting, where this person was saying now, some about European Americans. And he said, like, all these different people all have to be called wherever they're from. So they have to be called African Americans. Does their DNA test show that they're from Africa? Like, that is such fucking stereotyping. It's so fucking bullshit. I'm fucking so sick of this shit, man. So so if you're black, you gotta be called African American. Okay, well, what if you're not from fucking Africa? That's fucking absurd. And then Chinese, like a Chinese American, a Native American. So they were native to the land before it was even America. So why is even fucking, how are they? Like, oh God, I'm so sick of this shit. So absurd. So absurd. I'm just getting flashes back to when this very first was starting for me. And one of the very first things I was like, how do they charge us for land? Like, who gave them the right to sell the land? The earth isn't selling itself. Like, how do they go in and say this is ours? And then the next one that was really hitting me hard was the Bible one, where I was like, how are there people who need the Bible, to tell them not to kill? Like, how is that possible? Like they all are like, refer back to, well, the Bible, I want to go kill somebody, but the Bible tells me. It's just like, what? Like, that is written on your imprint. Like, that is inside of you. It's like, man, I don't know. Just some of this stuff is just so crazy and so absurd. And it's just like, oh my God, the way that we have just let these fucking psychopaths rule us and run us. And then we all just bend over. No Vaseline for me, just let's go. I was like, fuck, oh, damn. This is so goddamn it's very frustrating. And but see, the frustration that comes to me comes to the surface, then is for me to walk myself through it, to get myself into a place of being able to Okay, yeah, it's true. It's their soul's journey. They're learning. Things are going to turn. Things are going to get better. These are all like these martyrs and these people who are bringing things to the surface. And it's so outrageous and so horrible, but it's all for the greater good. It's for this great purpose that all these things are happening. But, that's, going and putting an old person, especially when they're already having signs, because now knowing, where we're at on the medical thing, and that these signs of dementia and Alzheimer's, it's parasites, like, and it's all of these chemicals and stuff. So just knowing that she could go into detox and be led in a different direction, but they take them in this other direction, the direction that's going to make them worse, and they're going to have more control because now they've got fucking control over this lady. They've got control over her shit. This is one thing that people didn't have any idea about when they were sticking people in nursing homes and stuff. And yeah, everything that their parents had worked for and everything that they had created for themselves to leave for their kids, because this was a thing in the past in other realities where we would work and work and work, and we would pass it on to our families. And like lots of families had a home that was just passed on and passed on and passed on. There's these things, land, and so there was things that we would pass on. Well, they don't want that. They don't want us to have anything. So they had to come up with ways to make sure to take everything away from us. So get us to be on the system and then say, well, you owe us. You have to give us this. So they started taking all of these people's money and stuff. And there's a lot of that going on too, where people had no idea. And now, there's outrageous ones like this one lady who had bought into this fucking retirement plan, and it was supposed to have her covered for her whole life. She had to spend $200K to buy into it. And then it was like $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month, something absurd that she had to pay every month to also live here. Like, it's fucking mental. Like, dude, you could live on a fucking beach in Mexico. And so all that money, now she's 94 years old. 94 years old, been living at this place for however long it's been. I don't know, 20 years or something. And they're kicking her out. They sold the building, and the people who bought it don't want to continue these contracts. So they're just, too bad, too sad, and just leaving it. So she'd have to get a lawyer and all this stuff. And this is happening to so many people. There's so many fucking people. There's an old person after old person being put on the streets with all their stuff because they ran out of money. And but this is what this is all about. This system isn't, here, we're going to take care of the old people of their communities. And no, it's like fucking lab rats too. And they just put them in there and then try and kill them. And then this was a nursing home, because I was saying, one thing that would be really positive is all these dogs that they keep putting to death, put them in the nursing homes. It brings the life back. And that they don't want the life to come back to these people. But so there was this nursing home where this dog kept escaping from the shelter where it was living, because it was not being adopted. So it was in this shelter, and it kept escaping. It would go to this nursing home, kept going to this nursing home, and then the nursing home would call and then come take it and take it back. Well, it had done it so many times that the nursing home decided he wants to live here, so we're going to adopt him. And they adopted a cat too. So they adopted this dog and this cat, and it totally changed the whole fucking energy of the nursing home. It gave the people so much more, like they go out and spend time with the animals and stuff. To see if they had more and more, that brings love to these people, but they don't want that. And another thing too, in a nursing home, if they're playing music from the era of these people, so if they were playing music in their 40s, if they were, had a little soda bar set up, and people started going up to their little soda bar and, bringing things that were a part of their lives from the past, it gets people back to being healthier. It gets their minds where it just works. And so, these people who do these studies know this shit. They're doing this stuff on purpose. They're doing the opposite of what makes things better. And so, if people really need to be into nursing homes, which, there's going to be things that are going to be changing. For one thing, we're not going to be having old people anymore. But for another thing is that all the old people that we have, that, we're going to have to work our way through some of this stuff. And I think as the system fails, there's going to be more like, I've really worried about this for a long time, is that I feel like that there's going to be some nursing homes or some places where nobody shows up at work. And I think this is happening at Shell. I think this is happening all over the place. And there's just people who can't take care of themselves. They're being left on their own. And so, and it's all different situations and storylines playing out. And it's easy to get caught up in all of the outrage of what's happening. But it's where we got to just keep remembering we're in this time of change, or this time where all this hideousness is coming to the surface so it can be plowed, it can be reaped. It was like we can take the benefit and then put it back into the soil and churn it back in, learn from it, and move on, and don't focus on the past and the failings. Just learn from them and focus on the creation of the beginning of what's new and where we want to go. God, my stomach's growling like crazy. So, anyways, and it would be a parasite cleanse for sure. Anybody who's got like dementia, any of the things, like, man, our environment and stuff, we're all so eaten up with this stuff. So, anyways, there's way better things that we could do all this stuff. Like with the animals, there's so many better things that we could be doing. There was another one, and there's more of these shelters that are popping up. There's more of these people who are going and creating new shelters, and with different ways of having the animals lived while they're waiting to be adopted. But I also just feel like, I don't know. I saw this video, and they go round up these raccoons, and then they are going to move them, but they drowned them or something. They put them in cages in water or something. Like, there's just, man, and they just, I don't know. There's just so much unnecessary bullshit. Like, nature has its own shit. It has its own life. Everything that is alive has its own right to figure its own life out, just like we do. And we just are trying so busily to, control it all. And I don't know. I feel like the community for me would be one where we just let dogs they don't have to be housed in a shelter waiting for a home. They can just go out and use their personality and learn how to adapt. And if they want to stay domestic and, stay around town, stay around people, go lay on people's porches, watch out for people, and there would be certain people who would go out and feed them. And don't forget, most anything that you want to throw away in your fridge, the dogs would eat it. Just cook it. Just cook it up and feed it to your dogs. Your dogs will think you're the saint of the world. So there's so much that we throw away that we could be feeding to these stray animals and stuff. So it shouldn't be a huge burden. It's just a better way, more green way of, getting rid of stuff. And it's the step down, it all goes to the next, to the next, to the next. And so to me, that would be the perfect community where animals, just like how we get so excited, when a squirrel comes up to us, to get so excited, and a stray dog comes up and wants to communicate with us, and to get to build these relationships. So I don't know. I just don't think that we're meant to be caged and held. And it's just like, I don't know. I saw this video of this dog, and it looked like a store or something. And I'm sure it's some other kind of adoption center, shelter place. And the people had this dog that was up by the door, and there was showing this people leaving and going and getting in their car, and this dog being so upset and crying and wanting to go. And I was just like, and it was saying, this dog's just looking for his forever home, and everybody always just leaves, and nobody ever wants to adopt him, and he just wants a family so bad. But I was just like, man, he just wants to go out and live his life. Like, what in the fucking hell? Live in a fucking cage? It's like, Just let them go out and live, and yeah, there's going to be animals that are going to get hit. There's going to be animals that are going to, there's all sorts of situations, but we can do better. We can all do better. We can slow down. We can be more mindful. We can start, like I said, feeding stray dogs like we feed the squirrels and the birds. I don't know. There's so many things have to change, and everything is in this state of perspective. And so, when everything is a step, that's a way better step than kill shelters. She's setting it up. It's real nice. It's got like a whole living room part. The dogs get to hang out in the day. So, and that's important. You can't keep a dog in a cage all fucking day and all fucking night and then let it out. And then these people take these animals home and they have all sorts of behaviors. It takes, fucking Max has still got all sorts of behaviors. And I don't even think he was in a cage that long. I think that he was like he was a little hobo for a while. I think that he was definitely had some home at some point where somebody loved him and trained him. I think he was somebody's little baby puppy and they loved him. And then whatever happened, I don't know, that ended him out on the streets. I don't know if he ran away from home or what happened. And then however long he lived in the streets, because it's funny when I watch him, like when we're walking down the street, PC's like yesterday, he saw some little piece of trash, some garbage. It was like a old dirty napkin. And he runs over and grabs it like he just fucking scored. He's trying to eat it. And we're walking. I'm like, oh, come on, nasty boy, throw that down. You're not a garbage. You don't need to eat that garbage anymore. But he has those kind of things. He has some certain behaviors that, but I think it takes some time. I mean, he's not a naughty boy. He's just got some things, but yeah, if you take a dog that's been living in goddamn cages, like there were some of these dogs in these places that aren't kill shelters, have had them in there for years. This has been this dog's life. And some of them have been in these motherfucking cages since they were puppies. Saw one the other day. I was like, this dog's 4 years old and it's lived in a motherfucking cage. Even if it's a bigger cage, it's like, what the hell? And then you see these animals that are being rescued from these horrific farms. And there was one yesterday that I saw, and it was this ginormous pig, and she was so huge. And she had to be a couple 100 pounds, and she had piglets, and they were rescued from some slaughter place or something. So many of this, like donkeys. Donkeys are fucking being slaughtered. Like, there's so much crazy shit in our world that we don't even know about. Like, what the fuck are you slaughtering donkeys for? What are you fucking drowning raccoons for? Like, what the hell with this place? Like, goddamn. And so they opened the thing for them to come out. They've never seen grass. These animals have never been in grass. They've never been outside of a warehouse or whatever. And the little piglets got out first, and they're running in the grass, jumping. I've seen full-grown cows doing this when the cows are being taken from these horrible farm places, that they're going to just slaughter them because they're not producing enough. So there's all these people who rescue them, and thank God. And then they bring all these big old fucking cows out, and these are older cows. They get out there and they start jumping. They're so excited. There's so much Stella that I see of as a cow, and so much of her I see as a tiger. But she has like certain behaviors and stuff. So whenever I see like some of the cows, I just see like Stella, and I'm so excited to be out and breathe air and see the world and how vast the world is when you look out and you don't just see a wall. And some, are kind of timid and stuff, but they get so excited. And those little piglets got so excited. And then the big fat pig, she kind of like rolls over. And then she gets up and she walks out. She's just huge. And it was just the sweetest thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's not right. It's not right. We are, I don't know. There's people who are birthed in and they never get out of the tunnels. Like when they were going down and rescuing those kids, there's all these people who have lived in those that were born in them. There's people who have been living in them and have given birth, and then those kids have given birth. Like there's people who are in the tunnels that have, like But, everything has its own realities. Like there's all sorts of tunnels under us. There's all sorts of realities. There's all sorts of worlds. There's all sorts of little people and big people. There's everything out there. There's lizards and creatures and dog shape shifters and everything out there. So, anyways, it's a crazy world, and some souls, get birthed into a prison to experience. Like, there's a lot of things you learn. So that any of the things that just become so outrageous and so overwhelming, just keep on remembering, what these souls are here doing is trying to understand themselves and learn about themselves and to become better souls. And so, that's what we're all doing here, is learning how to love ourselves, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So I'll talk to you later.